Well, I'm delighted to introduce to you. Well, actually, you probably know him, but if you don't, this is Michael J. Ward, the brains behind the Destiny Quest books, an amazing series. And hello, nice to see you.
Yep, hiya. Can't believe
I
it's a
believe it's
year. A year's gone by since last one, obviously.
is it in a year? Or were you here last
Oh, it
year?
feels like about 10 for me, actually, to be perfectly honest. But
Well, you've had a really cool, successful recent campaign, haven't you? I think is a book going out at the moment for the Kickstarter backers.
uh, yeah, so Wrath of Ragnarok is my latest mighty tome in the Destiny Quest series. And yeah, it was successfully funded on Kickstarter. Oh gosh, when I don't know, I've lost track of the months. So probably about March, April, um,
Yes.
or probably earlier than that this year. Yeah, so the books are going out at the moment. Well, I mean, I think most people have got them. There's been a few hiccups with the wonderful EU customs, and since the UK and Brexit and everything, it's been proving a little bit of a hair tearing, you know, few
Yes.
issues with trying to get books to some of the backers in the EU, but we're working through it. So
That's
yeah,
good.
I've got a few more
That's
grey
good.
hairs since yeah.
Well. Let's lead us straight onto horror then. After
Okay,
going
yeah.
from
My life is a horror show. Yeah.
so obviously that's been a fantastic success, and that was your second book, wasn't it? But you're
uh,
actually creating a different um, kind of obviously linked, but Destiny Quest Raiders, which is
yeah.
going to a slightly different world part. So
No, it's
would you like
actually
to just
set in the Destiny Quest world.
right?
So but you don't need any previous knowledge of my other books, to understand or play this one. But yeah, I mean, to kind of vaguely link it to the horror theme, the setting for this first one's Perova, which is a region that I talk about and explore. My World Companion book that came out, which is like my
Ah, brilliant.
yeah. So I don't know if you'll see this very well, but there's the map of
Oh,
that
it's lovely. Oh,
area.
you can see that beautifully. Yeah, that's
Okay.
great.
But it's
Mm.
kind of I suppose you'd call it my Ravenloft, or Transylvania kind of inspired country. It was once ruled over by vampires. It was then conquered, but even though that was many, many centuries ago, the land still has the scars of its past. It's still very a kind of cursed place. A lot of undead, a lot of tombs, a
Excellent.
lot of rattling bones.
Oh,
Um,
wonderful.
yeah, so I mean, obviously, I'm aiming. Deskers Raiders is a more casual experience. It's a more casual book, and probably it's more suitable for a younger audience. So, it's not horror in the sort of true kind of spine tingling, slasher movie type
But
thing. It's just
but
that
there's
it's just a fun setting for the I kind of think of it as quite traditional setting for sort of good dungeon crawl, really. That idea of
so is it medieval? What was the kind of time period equivalent that you set Destiny Quest as?
it's kind of, I mean, that's sort of like dark fantasy,
Yeah.
a sort of, yeah, but yeah, a kind of medieval kind of setting, I suppose. It's a magic. I mean, in Destiny Quest world, it's I suppose it's high fantasy, really, with monsters and magic and crazy flaming swords and things. But I also kind of try and root it in a little bit of, can you say logic when you've got magic fireballs floating around? I don't know, but there is a logic
Yeah.
to the world, and the characters are always very grounded, and I try to make them very real. And there's as the slight undertone of grittiness, I think, to the Destiny Quest world, despite all the weird and crazy things that are going on.
And you also say you're going to be having a new combat system and a few other things. So how's the combat going to differ and as a more sort of casual experience?
Yeah, so in my main Destiny Quest books, I mean, obviously you can see by the size, these are quite a time investment.
Yeah.
Not only from the story point of view, but also the combat system in these much more involved, much more tying into the action RPGs, like
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate and World of Warcraft. So in these books, you there's a lot of bookkeeping and you're rolling a lot of dice, and it's very much for those people that really like to get it was almost like, your D&D players, who really love that, idea of, building their character up and, making them more powerful, etc. But anyway, so Raiders is very, very different in that the combat system is diceless. So you don't need to roll, you don't even need to have any dice. All you need is a pencil and an eraser. And so I mean, the idea is that you can play it anywhere with the minimum of fuss.
Right.
And combats can take literally less than 30 seconds.
Wow.
Some can be more involved as you go through because the opponents you're fighting have more abilities, and therefore they become a bit more of like a puzzle. But essentially how it's working is that you have a team of heroes. You're not just playing one character. You have a team of heroes, and they have different abilities, and those abilities allow you to strike off certain amount of damage off different monsters. And your monsters are in sort of ranks, and it's about you mitigating the damage that your team's taking each turn while delivering as much damage as you can to them. So it's quite hard to describe without visuals.
So, sounds like I'm imagining Sudoku battles here. But
yeah, that's exactly kind of what it is. It's like a kind of horde mode sort of game. I can't, and it is literally it's about action economy. So you've got to try and make the best use of your actions each turn to kind of defeat the monsters that are set against you. So
that's very clever, but pretty unique. I haven't heard of that before. So
I'm hoping it hasn't been done before. I mean, I don't think it has. I've never seen it anywhere before. I mean, I actually came up with the idea 5 years ago, for this combat system, because I was actually working on a project for a UK publisher, which never came to fruition as usual. And at the time, I had a sort of good rapport with the editor, and so I pitched a couple of game book ideas. And one of them was this combat system married to a different story. And I never heard anything back, but hey, that's the way it goes with the UK publishing industry. So it's just been on the back burner for a while, this combat system, etc. And then after I finished writing Wrath of Ragnarok, which, these books take a they take it out of you, to put it that way.
How many sections in that one? I know people would be interested to know.
I know it's about 736 pages. 641, which isn't actually that much, but it's quite longer sections. It's much more narrative, this one. So but so these take these take it out of you trying to write one of these. So I thought, I'll tell you what I'll do. I thought to myself, I could just do something a bit shorter, easier for me to write.
Yeah.
And just to have a sort of break from the big books. And then that's how I sort of decided to go back to this old combat system that I'd developed, which was just sitting around doing nothing. And I thought, I can maybe tie that into Destiny Quest, because I've got an existing audience for Destiny Quest, and this book could also get a new audience because, it's the start of a brand new line of books. So that's kind of how it.
And is that going on Kickstarter? Is it?
So 24th of October, it's going live on Kickstarter. So it's Destiny Quest Raiders: The Tides of Terror is its full title.
Brilliant.
So
now, have you got a preview page now?
I do. So I'll give you the link. I'll give you the link.
It's the 14th of October now, so it should be here somewhere. We'll try and find a link somewhere. Otherwise, just go and search it.
I'll be able to give you the link. So
that's awesome. That's really exciting. Now, obviously, the horror link is there, and the vampires, and you say it's going to be slightly younger, but I hope there will be blood and gore, won't there?
I am being quite careful with this book. I am trying not to go too
more mood and setting than
definitely. And there's a lot of comedy. There's a lot of comedy in it as well, which I think people will be surprised at.
Oh, cool!
It's such a much more lighter read, a lighter tone, and what I'm actually enjoying about it is because you've got these. Well, you develop your team as you go through the book. You start off with 2 characters, and then you recruit
Yeah.
2 more. But I'm really enjoying how they've all got their own, very different personalities, and they play off each other really well. And I think that's what gives it quite a light mood at times, even though there's some quite. I mean, there is some dark stuff going on at times, but there'll always be like it doesn't destroy. It's not game breaking or anything. The comedy, but it's just they play off each other really well, and I think people will really enjoy some of the lighter tone of the book in comparison to my main series, which is probably pretty dark now. It's again a lot more adult, and I just wanted to do a lot more fun.
So I'm obviously a big movie fan, or whatever you knew there, but so I'm kind of seeing is this a family of action adventure?
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
When
you're writing, do you really visualize what you're doing? Do you have kind of prompts or visual aids or music playing, or what is your creative process and how does it differ from what you're writing now to how you're writing the other Destiny quests?
I think the writing process is the same, but I mean, I just think very cinematically.
Yeah.
When I always plan out my scenes before I write them. I could never just write them without having pages of I'll have sketches, and sometimes I've already kind of written down bits of dialogue or description, and but yeah, I like to, and obviously I think people know this from my other books that and my narratives. I do a lot of detailed description. I don't like to just be sketchy about it. I want people to feel fully immersed. As a storyteller yourself, you know what it's like. You kind of want to create that perfect picture, don't you, for the the reader, and as much information as I can give, I do, and just hopefully I really bring it alive. I also, when I'm writing as well, I tend to read a lot of my favorite authors, to capture their, look at their voice and how they do dialogue, and if I see a good line, I'll think, okay, I might steal that and tweak it a bit, and it's just trying to absorb different influences as you're writing. So
do you ever read it out to people as you're going along? Do you ever kind of play?
Well, funny enough, I did actually read a scene out to my friend Mary today, just to get her approval. She's my she gives me feedback on what I do, but I mean, I do sometimes. I'm just terrible at doing voices though and things like that. I never quite get the mood going properly, So
yeah. Oh, well, sounds.
But it's sometimes good it's just good to get flow sometimes to read it out.
Absolutely, definitely. I definitely find that. Now, when you're doing the Kickstarter, have you kind of approached this differently from your last Kickstarter? Is it going to be now it's a slightly different audience, or have you learnt a lot from the last two?
I've learnt loads. But I mean, I don't think I'm doing anything different. I'm making it simpler from a fulfillment point of view. So there's not going to be like add-ons and stuff which just cause absolute havoc later. So it's all of that stuff is tied into the pledge levels. There's about 4 different pledge reward levels. I think it's just it's pretty much the same. There'll obviously be a main trailer. I've been blessed to have a guy, Diogo, who did the trailer for Wrath of Ragnarok. Kickstarter, and he's been on board for this one. He's already done 4 little trailers for me, and he's doing another 3 or something. But he's been doing a lot of my art assets for the page, and it looks fantastic, better than anything I could do. So the combination of him and David Wyatt, my illustrator, those guys are just killing it and making me look good. So I'm not complaining.
That's fantastic. Obviously, the aesthetics are very important. And how many illustrations have you got inside the book? Are you?
Well, it's quite an illustrative book from the point of view that there's obviously like the team sheet. There's a team sheet at the front, and then you've got separate hero sheets for each character, which are beautifully illustrated. But the combat grids themselves, these what you do the combat with. Dave is going to be doing icons of all the monsters, So every single combat grid will have like an illustrative aspect to it to give you a bit of flavor of
Wow.
what you're actually fighting. But as well as that, I'm hoping through the Kickstarter to unlock some, full page black and white illustrations, which is a
Yes.
first for one of my game books. So hopefully we'll, get a few of those scattered in
Yeah.
there. And also
Oh,
there's loads of
brilliant.
illustrations because there's all you get treasures as well and backpack items and various things as you play through, and all those going to be illustrated as well with little icons and things. So it's going to feel quite gamery and
Yeah.
quite highly illustrative. And also, I mean, one of the things I'd say as well is that people probably have seen the cover by now, but I'm trying to go for a much more colourful, I want to say graphic novel cartoon feel a little bit
Yeah.
to this book. It's not, I don't want it to be as dark as my other ones. So, so that kind of casual aspect carries through into all of the artwork.
That's brilliant. That's great. That answers the question beautifully. Thank you.
I don't know what the question was, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, well, how does it differ from the last one? And
Oh,
definitely, I
right,
think because you're writing, you've kind of brought that through into the visual aspect as well,
Yeah.
which is obviously fantastic. Now, I know as an author, you'll probably have more than one project going around your head at the moment. So, what do you want to work on after Raiders, or have you seen yourself doing a series of these books?
Yeah, I want this to be a series. And I already had plans for the next one in this Destiny Quest Raiders series. So I think
Yeah,
that would probably be my next book. If this, I mean, obviously, fingers crossed the Kickstarter will do well,
yeah.
If it bombs completely, then obviously I might, reconsider things, but, I'm sure it won't. But yeah, so the next one's called Assault the Jade Spires. It's more of like my main books, I'm doing a different environmental, and focusing in a different environment in each book. So the next
Yeah.
one will be like more of a jungle, Aztec kind of feel to it. So
Oh,
that's the
cool.
next one if I get to write it. And then by the end of that, people might be clamoring for, the next one of
Yeah.
these beasts. And then, oh gosh, yeah.
So
Never.
it sounds like it's a nice relief doing this one. Then
Yeah,
it's allowed you
yeah,
to.
but you know what's funny though is that I thought, oh, because the this Destiny Quest Raiders one is, I mean, I want to say like even less than half the size of one of these.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm aiming it to be about 300 pages, 350.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's taken me as long to write as one of these, and that's not what I was intending to do. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong at the moment, but it's just taking me a long time to write, and I just don't know whether it's because it's more so dense with choices,
Yeah.
because it's just one big adventure. It's not like broken up into lots of little quests like my other books, and so there's a lot of choice, and maybe I'm just having to think and plan it a lot in a lot more depth than I think I do my other books, which is weird, kind of weird.
And it sounds like you're writing a slightly different style anyway, so maybe that's
Yeah,
it's
yeah, it is.
finding
Yeah,
that
and it's all
voice.
very sort of written very present tense. It's very
Hmm.
in the now. It's a slightly
Yeah.
different style to my other ones.
Oh, fantastic. Now, Michael, I mean, obviously we can find you on Kickstarter, but where do you prefer to kind of be seen and found? How can people follow you in a
I
non-creepy
would say
sense?
my Facebook page is probably the best place because that's where I kind of update that the most regularly.
Yeah.
And obviously, if people want to keep up to date with stuff that's going on with this new book, then that's where I'm, bombarding people with information.
Yeah.
So the Facebook page, but also, I mean, I have my my main website, www.destiny-quest.com,
Yeah.
which if you want to go to find out more information about my existing books, and there's links to Amazon and various places if you want to, make a purchase and support a struggling author.
Yeah, and obviously Amazon, but what about bricks and mortar shops? Can you get them anywhere particular?
My first three, I don't know. I mean, my first three books published by Galance may be lurking around in a dark corner
Yeah.
still of a bookshop, but largely my most recent ones are kind of online only.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair enough because they go global, don't they? It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Doing that. Brilliant. Well, Michael, thank you again for your time. I hope you have a lovely Halloween. Are you doing anything in
Oh.
particular?
Lying down in a dark room with a flannel on my face.
Writing by candlelight. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
fantastic.
get the
Great.
fever
Well,
going.
thank you again, and good luck with your series. And we really look forward to even more copies. And hopefully, we'll see you again next year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just got to try and pause this now.